never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved.
That speech by former President Donald Trump on January 6, 2021, came before the horrors at the Capitol. All of it still seared into the American memory. And tonight, Vice President Harris delivers what she is calling her closing argument at the exact same location, just a little bit further, closer to the Washington Monument. That same area, though, where Trump spoke prior to the riot in 2021. Let's bring in our political panel, Ashley Etienne and Kevin Sheridan. Ashley is a CBS News political contributor who served as communications director for Vice President Harris in the White House. Kevin served as a spokesperson for the Republican National Committee. He was also a senior advisor for the Romney-Ryan 2012 presidential campaign. Great to see you both. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
I'd like to begin with remarks Trump just made about those comments made at his Madison Square Garden rally by a person, a comedian, as he calls himself, about Puerto Rico. Let's listen.
I know it very well, and we helped you through a lot of bad storms, I'll tell you. We had some really bad ones. You remember you were there when I brought the hospital ship against everyone's advice, and we got it in there and took care of a lot of people. But I think no president's done more for Puerto Rico than I have. So thank you. That's really nice of you to say.
So he said, no president's done more for Puerto Rico than I have. Ashley, what's your view of how Trump is handling the fallout from the comment about Puerto Rico that's deeply offended many people? And what's the Democratic response?
Well, I mean, you know, that wasn't his reaction. His reaction to what happened in Madison Square Garden is he said it was a love fest. Mm-hmm. You know, he actually condoned everything that was said there. And I wasn't surprised by it at all, because that's who Donald Trump is. That's not only his DNA, but that's the DNA of the entire MAGA movement. This is consistent with what we've seen. When he was president, racial violence was at an all-time high. And I think this is almost poetic for Kamala Harris, because what it does is perfectly set up the contrast between what Donald Trump is offering, you know, however you want to process what was said at his rally that he actually condones, and what she's offering for the American people, which is, you know, that, as Reagan said, to be that city on the hill, to reclaim who we are as a nation and get back to the very fundamentals and the core of who we are. And that's going to be the essence of her speech tonight. And she's going to talk about why she's the right leader to take us there, and why Donald Trump would be more of this madness, this division, this disrespect for the American people in our towns and places that we call home.
Our colleague at CBS, Nancy Cordes, spoke with David Plouffe, top advisor to the Harris campaign. And Plouffe brought up the Obama-Romney race from 2012. Let's listen to what David Plouffe had to say.
I actually think the race that's most similar to, though, is the 2012 Obama reelect against Mitt Romney. Very close, but we thought we had good momentum and a pathway to winning battleground states. And that's what we see today. I think we very much like what we're seeing in early vote. We're liking the momentum that we're seeing. But this is going to be a super close race, maybe historically close. It could literally come down to, you know, 0.2, 0.4, 0.5%.
What do you make of the comparison?
Yeah, I've been saying it's either 2012 or 2016, but if it's 2016, I think it'll go even more in Trump's favor. I think the 2012 comparison is should be frightening for Republicans, because we did think going into that weekend that we were in a good place, and our ground game did not perform, obviously, and it was a big shocker to a lot of people. We were seeing internal polling numbers that said we were up in Florida. I don't know what both campaigns' internals look like, but the way the campaigns are acting, it really feels like Kamala thinks she's behind right now.
I think back to 2012 and covering that race, Mitt Romney was constantly trying to make inroads with Democratic working person support, trying to make inroads with labor, trying to get that vote in Michigan where Romney grew up. You see with Vice President Harris now, that same overture to working Americans in places like Michigan and Pennsylvania, people who are feeling economic pain. Let's look at one of her latest ads about that appeal to working people.
I was a 7-year-old with a little mullet, just like a Pittsburgher should have, with a Cordell Stewart jersey on, sitting at Three Rivers Stadium watching in 1995. Donald Trump does not care about the working man whatsoever. This guy's not looking out for my family. Talking about giving tax breaks to billionaires?
There's kind of a Bernie Sanders sensibility to the message, but also a almost Trump sensibility to the swagger.
Yeah.
What do you make of it as a communicator and strategist?
Well, this is actually part of the vice president's closing argument. The one part of that ad you did not show, and I regret that you didn't, is he goes into the fact that Donald Trump is not like us. He's a billionaire. He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He's not like me as a working guy. You know, his dad gave him millions upon millions of dollars. He filed for bankruptcy 6 times. So that ad goes into one of her closing arguments, which is Donald Trump's not like you. He doesn't care about you. He could care less about you. Remember, he oversaw the worst economy in modern history. Remember, he overturned Roe v. Wade and bragged about it. Remember, he said he was going to bring back manufacturing and didn't ask those factory workers who actually brought it back. So that's going to be part of her closing argument, which is Donald Trump, you know, to quote Kendrick Lamar, Donald Trump's not like us, right? And more importantly, he's not for you.
Any closing thoughts in response?
I don't see that ad as being particularly effective. He's got a huge lead among men, young men now coming on board. I think they can try to run this one ad in Steeler country, but he showed up at the Steelers game and USA spontaneously erupted, and the crowd loved him. So I think he's got a big lead with men, but whether or not she can overcome that with her lead with women.
We'll have to leave it there. 1 week before Election Day. Always appreciate your insights. Ashley Etienne, Kevin Sheridan, great to see you both. Thank you.
Good to see you.